Welcome to the Your Photography Mentor podcast, episode 30-something. I have no idea, but that's okay. That is how Rich Coleman rolls. I'm Rich Coleman, a photography mentor, which is hilarious because of my guest today. I grew up and live on this little teeny strip of land called the Outer Banks. It's like as far east as you can go in North Carolina. And there's something in the water here because there are a bunch of great photographers. And today I'm excited because one of my friends slash person I look up to, she'll hate that I said that, but one of the best storytellers I know is on. And that is my friend, Kirsten Lewis. Hello. You're over there today.
Oh, hi. Wait, hi.
Welcome.
Thanks. I'm really excited.
I apologize in advance for not telling you this was going to be on video, but you're welcome, and thank God you look good. So you're doing better than me.
No, I swear to God, I was like, meh, this is just going to be audio. Like, it won't matter. I haven't showered, right? Like,
Yeah.
I still have my sleep pants on. Thank God I have my
Prove it. Yeah. And like, how old is your kid now? Like, that's something I just thought of.
How old are you now?
No. I'm inappropriate, but not that inappropriate, I promise. Most times.
My daughter is just nearing 4.5.
Nice.
I literally just posted last night on Facebook that I need serious counseling and help because she's reaching full maximum capacity of the meltdown stage. And I mean, I have a child psych degree. I was a teacher. I've been photographing specifically families for 10 years, and I'm just feeling completely overwhelmed and overpowered. And
when it's your own blood, you like love them more and hate them more all at the same time. And I tell you what, my daughter's so much worse than my son. My son told me yesterday, completely unsolicited, he said, we're snuggling in his bed. It's his favorite thing to do. He pulls me in his bed and just snuggles me and lays there, which my daughter never did. And he looks at me and he says, Dad, I love snuggling you more than Christmas presents.
Oh.
And I was like, bro, you can have whatever you want for Christmas. I'm buying you anything. But my daughter at 4, he's 4 too. So my youngest is about Birdie's age. But my 8-year-old and my wife fight every day to where, like, when she's a teenager, I'm just going to move out. Like, that sounds like a great time to get a divorce. Is when, because I'm the husband, as much as like men like to pretend like it's equal. No, women rule the world and women run the kids, and that's just how life is.
Yeah, it's been a challenge. I love her to death, like to the moon and beyond. We talk about that all the time, but she's my biggest challenge in life as well. I swear she's half human, but half the Antichrist. And when the Antichrist comes out, everyone just wants to run and hide. So anyways, that's a really long-winded answer to say she's 4.5.
She's 4.5, yeah. So Marty's 4. He was 4 in August. So, man, that's just crazy. Like, in my mind, I guess maybe the only time I've ever actually seen her, she was like a baby.
Yeah, I know.
So, man, time flies.
Yeah. Which is all the more reason why I do what I do, right? Because
what? Wait, what do you do? Who are you? I'm actually gonna pull up. I have like some galleries, some of your website stuff. I'm gonna
pull a total student thing and be like, oh, my website is so old, and like all my new work is different, right? I mean, it's still the same. It's still within the same house. It's just elevated floors now.
No, I get it. Well, I'm on your best of gallery, and I'm just going to kind of just talk about who you are, because people know who dumb Rich Coleman is and who David Molnar is, but this girl right here next to me is one of the best creative storytellers to, like, where when I look at her work, it makes me feel bad. Like, I look at your work and I'm like, oh, I suck. And I tell you what, because me and you live in the same place, or we used to, and me and you think a lot alike. Like, you have the courage to give white and khaki the finger, where I just bite through it and cry myself to sleep and rock at night.
You know that's just fear, Rich. You're biting through it. Now I'm going to mentor you. I feel like you're just biting through it because the fear of losing business if you don't offer that. Would that be
Mm.
correct?
Yeah, I mean, I have taken a major backseat to shooting, but
Yeah.
when I do it, like I have on my website, like don't wear white and khaki or black and navy because you'll look dumb. Like I have it, like I say it really like funny. Like if you want to look like crap, please wear that. Like that's kind of how. But yours, what was that? That was you, right? Giving white and khaki
Yeah,
the
give
finger.
white. That was a talk I did once. Give white and khaki the finger. Um, so okay, so my name is Kirsten Lewis Bethman. My business name is Kirsten Lewis. Married name is Bethman. I am a photographer. I really don't even like saying anything more exclusive than that. I'm a photographer, but I specialize in documentary photography, specifically with my career. How I make my income, I created a commercial business for documentary photography focusing on families. So when I met you, Rich, I was doing, those hourly beach portraits
Mm,
that can be
not soul
god
sucking.
awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, the soul sucking god awful. But I I just decided I wasn't going to do the soul sucking stuff. So I said, listen, for my sessions on the beach, it's 10 minutes of portraiture. Everything else is playing on the beach. Do not wear white and khaki. Do not match your family. Just come and have a good time and show me what that experience is like with your family. That evolved into longer sessions on the beach, which then evolved into full day and multi-day sessions where I just spend time embedding myself in a family. Have I lost you?
No, no,
I
you're
feel
here.
like you're frozen.
No,
Okay.
I got you. I was just
Just embedding.
I'm flicking through your website. So if it looks like I'm not paying attention to you, I am not.
Okay, so that we missed. So yeah, so then that transitioned into in-home full day sessions, and that's what I do now. And I'm hired for anywhere between 1 and 3 days generally. From vacation sessions to normal day sessions. I've gone to school with kids. I've gone to camp with kids. I've done holidays with families. Pretty much anything goes. So, and
Anything
now I'm
goes.
evolving in another direction, which is quite interesting. So, not that I'm giving up these sessions altogether, but I'm now evolving into basically documentary rooted advertising content.
Okay.
So I have companies hiring me to basically do what I do, but for advertising purposes, whether I'm a work for hire or they outright purchase images I've already made, or they hire me to make specific images. That's kind of the direction I'm going now.
That's awesome. Well, that's cool. Like how did you for people listening that think you have to do I call it grandma photography. Take that grandma photography pictures where it's just like like how did you break free from that? Was it like a conscious decision you made to like no, I don't want to do that because it makes me feel bad and I'm going to find people that'll pay me to do what sets my soul on fire? Like where was the connection for you and how you were able to do that?
So my roots are in editorial photography.
Okay.
I was I was an editorial photographer first. I worked for a magazine as a contract photographer for 7 years, Richmond Magazine in Richmond, Virginia. So that's where I started. And before that, I worked for Chew on This. So I was the main photographer for Chew on This, and then my editor there left and got a job as one of the main photography editors at Richmond Magazine, and I just went with him. And then I worked as a contract photographer there. So I just loved like real life storytelling. That was what my preference was. I was doing wedding photography pretty much the same way, and I was like, why can't I do this for family photography? It doesn't make any sense why I can't. Because I don't, it came from not even a place of this makes me feel bad. This makes me feel uncomfortable. I just am not good at that kind of portraiture. I just don't think that I am. And I don't like sitting for that kind of portraiture. And I don't like that kind of portraiture being made of me and my family, right? Even the portraiture I do is very relaxed, and there's a lot of guiding on my part in terms of still getting real moments within the portrait aspect of a session that I might do. With my day in the life sessions, I don't do any portraiture, but I still will do 1 hour and 2 hour sessions, and it's still structured the exact same way. So it was a selfish thing. It was not that it makes me feel bad, but I don't want to do this. And everything in my business, all of my business, creative marketing, how I approach sales, all of it is based on what works for me. Oh no, did I lose you again?
I'm still here.
Okay, you're still there. You keep freezing a little bit.
Maybe that's like the sign. Maybe
So
that's like the sign that we're about to go out again. But we'll just pretend like everything is working great.
okay. So yeah, for me, it was what works for me, what do I like to do, and what I don't like to do. And I'm only going to do what I like to do. And because, at the beach in the Outer Banks, I don't know how many there are now. When I started, there was like 70 of us shooting
There's
on the
more.
beach.
There's
Like,
more now.
yeah. And let's talk about it's what, like 30 miles total of like that.
On a 30-mile island, there's like 100 plus full-time working
Yeah.
photographers.
So it was really easy for me to stand out and just show only real life moments on the beach when everybody else offering beach portrait sessions were very traditional white and khaki. It was very easy for me to stand out. So I wasn't competing with anybody else. I was just competing with myself. I was the alternative. And I think that's why I did so well at the beach, is because there was no competition. I was the only one doing
How
it.
long ago was that? I'm like trying to place, like, I know we've
So
done some wedding shows before.
Yep,
And
I left. I've been in Denver for 7 years. So I left 7 years ago and I was there for 7 years. So I started 14 years ago, coming
Okay.
up on, I think.
That's
Yeah.
about when I started down here, I guess too.
Yeah.
And I was so green from college, knowing nothing. I was like,
Yeah.
and I just remember all the old legends, we'll call them, just hated me because I was new. They literally were like, "I hate you because you're new and you're taking my money." And I was like, "I'm sorry, guys. I just want to. Can we be friends?"
Remembered when you first started, the old legends had
Hated
their
me.
feathers ruffled because you were new. And that was happening with me too. And you and I were the ones, I just kept reaching out to everyone going, I want to hang out and create a community. And a lot of people were like, no, I don't want to do that. But you were open to it. And then I got a couple more people open to it. And then we
Yeah.
started to like hang. And then I left when that momentum really like started. And then you continued it with the coffee group, right?
Yeah. So I started that too. So that was man, my daughter's 8, so 9 years ago. Maybe she's 9. I don't know how old my kids are. Like like my daughter was due in June, so I was panicked, and I wanted to like have backup in case like, I don't want to miss my child's birth because I have 50 weddings because I'm an idiot
Yeah.
and I shot 50 weddings a year back then. But I wanted to have like, hey, like, Mary Bass Knight can do it, or, Whitney Norco, or Genevieve Stewart, or Ryan Moser, like all these amazing photographers. So I'm happy that we were together enough to get like this ship going, which is good.
Yeah.
So sorry. Again, I apologize for all the tech issues. But before anybody leaves, I put up her Instagram handle on the live. Everybody go give this girl some love on Instagram. But I'm going to ask you a few questions if that's okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Let's do it.
Can you describe the difference between your style / documentary photography, compared to that stiff, boring grandma photography, I called it?
I don't really like to use that word style, first of all. I like
Okay.
I like just saying my approach, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the big difference is that grandma style, as you like to that term you've coined. That'll show you what the people looked like when the pictures were made. The pictures I make show you what it felt like, it's evidence of your relationships with the people that you love and care about. My pictures have the potential to make outsiders have an emotional reaction to the picture, despite not knowing or being connected to those in the photograph, versus your traditional portraits of families feel a bit contrived and only showcasing what you consider to be the best or the most perfect
version
of yourself. Yeah.
Man, to echo that too, the one thing I do every time I show up to a wedding, I try to find a picture of what they actually look like.
Mm-hmm.
Because a bride with a white dress on and her hair in a French twist, like, man, I hate to say it, but 80% of the time, like, I like the way they look better in
Yeah.
normal clothes, like in regular hair, like normal makeup. Like, how often does
Mm-hmm.
that girl have her hair all the way up in her life? Probably
Right.
4 times, like that, or a
Right.
gala.
That's why I think it's important for a wedding that you arrive early and stay late if you want to get those kinds of pictures. Right?
Yeah. I get,
Yeah.
and like, I'll honestly too, like, I've been married 12 years, happily married for 4. We don't have this. We have like maybe one wedding picture hanging up. The rest is like us. Like, I like the way I look better in a black V-neck than a
Mm-hmm.
tux. You know what I mean? When I couldn't really grow facial hair and have a fake man beard. Like, I feel like the picture that you're gonna put up behind your sofa, that if you can take a picture as a photographer, you can take a picture of somebody that lasts more than that first year of marriage, or that lasts past a season, like, you've done a good job. Like, at that point, you're an artist. You're not just this stills taker. And I feel like that's the challenge that I give myself. And I feel like every picture of yours that you take that I see, it's like, yep, that's not a snapshot, because you're like thinking through. Like, you can tell you're very intentional about what you're shooting. You're not just spraying and praying as digital photographers do. You're thinking about what's on the other end. How's it going to feel to look at this? Because that's one thing that me and David have a hard time teaching, is teaching people to see like a photographer. Like, yeah, I can teach you the settings. I can teach you to make sure something's not overexposed, underexposed. I can even teach you, composition. But it's hard to teach you to see through moments so that you can take a picture that evokes emotion, or like gets you what your mind wants. And that's why photography is art.
Okay, so yeah. So this can lead into an interesting conversation. So, I don't photograph other people for anybody else but myself.
Mm.
And I think that's another distinction between traditional portraiture, where your client is the main priority in terms of the motivation to release the shutter, versus when I release the shutter, it's purely for me.
Mm.
With the confidence of knowing that I'm going to make my clients really happy with the pictures I'm making. I selfishly shoot anything and everything that I find interesting. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not taking into consideration everything about their relationships and what's unique, but I'm giving myself permission to allow my instincts, my gut, my experience with them to inform what pictures I'm going to make for them.
Mm.
There's a huge difference. So I have this funny story. I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble with this, talking about this live or not, but we'll just see.
Let's just hope they don't watch it.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's why I can talk about my wife. My wife has never seen me live, so we're good. Like, we're great.
No, it's not that. It's not that. We'll see. You'll know what I'm talking about in a second. So I used to teach with, I was very fortunate that I was invited to teach at the foundation workshops for many years. Mm-hmm. For like six years, I think I was on staff. And it's a photojournalism workshop geared towards wedding photographers. You never talk about wedding photography at the workshop. It's all assignment-based shooting. And I was working with Sergio, who was one of the instructors there. It was the last year that we ran foundation as of now, and it was the first time I'd ever team taught with him. It's funny because I was like, what does everyone think is so great about Sergio? I mean, he's great, but like, he's like the mecca. And then I worked with him and I was like, he's a genius, right? Like, it was very clear why he was one of the very best instructors by experiencing teaching with him. And I was trying to vocalize to the students, I want you to shoot what you find interesting. Like, stop and take the time to observe what's happening in front of you before you just start pressing down the shutter. Stop, take it in, digest what you're seeing, and ask yourself what you find interesting. And Sergio goes, he's Mexican, he has a kind of a thick, romantic, alluring accent, and he was like, how do you know what you find interesting, Kirsten? And I was like, what do you mean? I just know. And he's like, no, think, Kirsten, think. And I really started to think about it. He's like, what happens to your body when you find something interesting? And I thought about it. I said, my vagina gets excited. And he was like, what? Yes. And what we meant by that was I'm not aroused, but I started to notice that my body has a reaction like when I see someone that I find exciting. When my body intrinsically is attracted to somebody, something very in the core, in the gut, gets like a flutter or
the tingles. Yeah.
Tingle, right? And that is my body's way of physically telling me this is something that you're finding interesting. So teaching in the last couple of years, I've told people, shoot with your vagina. And guys, you can shoot with your vagina too. It might not be that response, but if you can start to recognize in your body, when you see something that sparks interest, whether you're going to photograph it or not, it will tell you. I've asked friends, like what happened? Like really good photographers, like what happens to you? Someone noticed that they hold their breath. Someone else noticed that they almost get like butterflies. Another one noticed that they tighten up their toes when they find something interesting. Apparently, I also will let out a sound, especially if it's funny to me. I'm like, like I make that noise. These are all physical responses to your environment. So this is like a really good piece of advice. If you can slow down, and you can practice this whether you have a camera in your hand or not, and you can start to connect with when you are seeing something that's interesting, you can start allowing that to guide you finding your photos, to start to build them from there.
And I think I just had another realization. I think that's why so many women love taking pictures of me, because they get that same feeling of excitement. Just kidding. Maybe. Who knows? So when I love my wife. She only worked for me for a year, and then we realized we'd rather stay happily married than work together.
Yes.
And when I was killing a shot, I'd be like, and I would say that, and she's like, babe, you cannot, it sounds disgusting over there while you're taking these pictures, but it's almost like the feeling that tingles, like when I take an amazing shot, and it doesn't happen as much as I love it to. Like when I take an amazing shot and know it, and my self-doubt's out of my own way, it's like somebody just landed a trick on a skateboard, and I'm like, whoa, sick. It's like hands up, like I couldn't be more pumped. And that stoke factor is so huge for photos. The fact that you're like listening to your body to do that, it's super cool. Like I love that.
Yeah, I shoot very intrinsically. I let that guide me first, and then incredibly intentionally, in terms of once I identify this is what I find interesting, then I ask myself, I don't physically have to do it anymore, but for a long time I had to say, okay, this is what you find interesting, why, and how are you gonna make a picture that communicates that to the viewer, right? So all of that is with very clear intention. The way that I use the light, the way that I fill the frame, what I'm waiting for before I press down the shutter, all of that has to do with what I want to communicate based on what I find interesting.
I love that. And Nick McClain, do you remember Nick?
I love Nick, yes.
Nick told me, every time I don't hang out with him a whole lot, but when we do, it's like always the most redonkulous story. Like I'm either hunting a bear with him, with some guys from a concert, or like it's just like all my situations with Nick. But he says something all the time that really stuck with me. He says, sometimes you just have to put your camera down and take it in too. Like,
yes,
if you're so obsessed with shooting that sunset again for the 1900th time and nobody cares about your Instagram profile pic, but if you're so worried about that, you'll miss like taking it in for yourself. And your photography, your work, like speaks to, taking it in for your clients, but also yourself. So that's like a really cool parallel. That's fun to watch, and fun to watch your work too.
I've really started to inject mood as well into my work, more so now, uh, which is exciting. I'm getting ready to release my new website. I've been saying this for months, but it's actually almost ready. And I have not been very good about sharing my work over the years, my newer stuff. Occasionally, I share more pictures that I make of my own family.
Hmm.
So it's kind of exciting to share a little bit of a shift in my work. It's still saturated with good moments, and rich connection, but I'm also playing more in the field with uh, creating wall-worthy art for my clients and for myself, as well as those really fun moments that would go in an album.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to share that work so that people can see that mood can also play a huge part, should play a huge part in the work that you make if you want to to go in that direction.
That's awesome. I'm going to ask you some technical questions. Number one, out of curiosity. Number two, because people are feeding me questions.
Yep.
So if you're there for 24 or 72 hours,
Yes.
like how much are you shooting? Like, is there like, I mean, I know there's like, how many pictures do you take? That's not, like
Well,
roughly.
while I sleep, well, here's the thing. Kids, they apparently live on all the adrenaline that the rest of us parents lose once we give birth to children or adopt children or take them in or however you become a family. Parents just like are depleted of all their energy. And I swear to God, it's because children suck that energy into their bodies so they can stay awake for 16 hours at a time, right? So if I'm with a family technically for 24 hours, let's just say that, and then you multiply it by 2 or 3 or 4, how many days. My average shoot time, like from when I start the day to end the day, is around 14 hours because kids don't sleep. They apparently don't need to sleep. Some have gone as long as 16 or 17 hours. I ended up in an emergency room once, and that was a really late night. And some, the kids actually do, teenagers especially, their average wake time is about 9 hours. So if I have a teenage shoot, that time is less. Of
Interesting.
the time I'm shooting, or like I have a camera in my hand, or I start the day and end the day, I'm shooting about 50%. That's the other thing is in this approach, especially with me shooting selfishly, I'm only photographing what I think is going to make a good photo. I'm not there to photograph every moment of every day. That's not what I feel my job is in terms of providing really strong photos for them. And that when I'm talking to them, when I'm interacting with them, when I'm having meals with them, when we're laughing and engaging in conversation, that's actually just as equally as important as me pressing down a shutter, because all of that is me learning about the family in a very organic, natural way so that I can truly make photos that represent how each person is unique to that unit of family. It also builds trust. I can make a lot more photos at the end of the day than I can the beginning by getting access, and that's built by trust. And I build that trust through honest, genuine connection, and that can only happen if I'm interacting with the family throughout the day.
Mm, I love it. And I guarantee you have to have some amazing stories just from dealing with people. Like you should write a book and be like, I've changed all the names to protect the identities. Just because
But you know,
I have so many dumb, funny wedding stories just because I'm documenting chaos.
yeah,
But I
yeah,
mean, like if I think about my family, I'm like, yeah, like number one, the first like 2 hours, my kids would be trying to impress you because you're there.
not kids. It's not the kids. It's the
My
parents in the
parents are
first
like,
hour
let me
trying to.
sweep. Let me look at me sweep and clean my floor. Oh my gosh, I can't even
But
imagine my
that
life.
only lasts for about 2 hours. And because the kids just are going to continue to be kids. So eventually the parents have to go back to disciplining. They have to go back to structure. They have to go back to expressing overwhelm or frustration. And that's where I make real photos, right? That like, there are so many photos of me rolling my eyes and blowing air out of my mouth because we hire a day in the life photographer 2 times a year, especially right now because Birdie's changing so much. And I have no problem showing exactly how I feel in life. And
That's
so
why
I'm
I
not
love
going
you.
to change that for the camera
Yeah.
at all.
That's awesome.
And
And that's good too. And that gets you to the point quicker. Like I mean, that's why I'm probably drawn to you naturally because of that. Like people think I'm funny and stupid, but I'm funny and stupid all the time. Like how I treat you and David is how I would treat like some pastor I've never met. Like what you see is what you get, and not everybody can handle that, and that's okay. Like it took me till I was 30 to realize that, but
Same.
not everybody's supposed to be in your life, or not everybody's supposed to be in your life forever. Like you go through seasons of time and change and friendships, and that's important to you as a person, and that's why I like you. You are exactly what I want and expect. And like Crystal, one of the girls that works for us is a super fan. So like when we were talking about like you, I was like, oh yeah, I can have her on. I'll just text her. She was like, oh my God, you know her? And I was like, yeah, like she's from here. And I was like, so anyway, let's talk about that for a minute. Famous photographers, because you are, whether you like it or not, a famous photographer. And I think that's because you put it all out there in your work. And like people see authenticity. Like people can tell like people have great BS meters, and I feel like that's why a lot of photographers are relevant for 4 years and they kind of die out. Mm-hmm. It's because it's fake. Like when somebody's on and then off, I mean, I can see it and I'm like, I hate that guy and I don't even know him, So you're my favorite famous photographer, and I'll never forget the moment I sat at WPPI on the second row and just watched you do your thing.
Oh, you're the sweetest. I can promise you there's plenty of people out there that have that thought about me. I don't like for some reason. And it's taken me 43 years to finally be like, you know what? That's okay. Like if they don't like me because I am who I am, I can't change that. But I really am the same whether I'm with my friends, my family, my clients. I've always tried to remain as approachable as absolutely possible to anybody that wants to talk to me or look up to me, which I think is kind of, I don't know that I've said this from day one. I'm not really built for the being put on a pedestal thing. I just want to be friends with everyone. And honestly, I want to be liked by everyone. That's part of being a 7, like in the Enneagram.
We just did that. That's what Jeremy was on about.
I can't wait to hear. Like I saw that you did photography in the Enneagram.
Yeah, he's a 4 if you couldn't tell. But me, so the funny thing is that like we did like a whole Enneagram series, and David is a 7-8 for sure. 7 wing 8, 7 wing 8, 7 wing 8.
I'm a 7 wing 8. Yes.
I thought I was too, and then I read the book, The Road Back to You, which is a really good book. And I think I'm an 8 wing 7 now. Like my whole like mind is changing. I'm like, wait a second. Because I'll score differently every time I take it, and so interesting.
I have been consistently a 7-2-3 the last 3 or 4 times I've done it. It's always 7-2-3 with the 7 wing 8. So
yeah.
But those are my top 3 numbers, and I see it in everything that I do. All of my drivers. Did you guys talk? Because I didn't hear it. Did you talk about what
the motivations?
What informs your number for the 7, like for the 7 wing 8, most 7 wing 8s, they had a lack of affection as a kid. Like it's really fascinating. And I did not know that for years. And then I just recently heard that and I was like, oh my God, no wonder I'm a 7 wing.
Everything makes sense. Well, the funny thing about the book is it's like one of the ladies is like one of the guys is like a pastor who's not a pastor anymore. So there's like a lot of that, but he also like went like into the monk stuff. Like he kind of explored all religions through it because it's just personality type. And he explains it as a mask you wear to like deal with insecurities and things. So it's coping. It's all how you cope. And it's funny because like on the team, like we talk about it all the time because everybody was from Nashville and that's kind of like where it popped up again. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. The more I read into it, I can just always find something. Or like last night I was listening to it and Kristen on our team. There's Kristen, Crystal, Christy. There's so many K names in my life right now. She's a 9-1, and like as I'm listening to it, I'm like sending it to her. I'm like, this is you. Like read the book at 48 minutes in because I listen to Audible. But yeah, it's so cool that that's you, and that's why I like you because you're just like this cool chick that's like like this like badass streak in you a little bit, And it's funny because I was intimidated. I'm still intimidated by you. Because here's the thing. Right down the street from me is freaking David Allen Harvey. and you and all these great photographers. And that's like one thing I want to tell people to do here is find somebody you look up to. Like, don't look over your shoulder at your competition. Find somebody to look up to and that can help you grow like authentically, because that's going to make you a better artist. And if you surround yourself by people that make you feel better and make you better, like it's just, that's what you do. Like that's what you should be striving to do as an artist. But yeah.
Rich, you should not feel intimidated by me at all. But like, it's like insanity. But all you'd have to do is come do a full day in my life, and then you'd be like, oh yeah, no, there's no reason to be intimidated by her.
No, well, I can't. It's been there since I was a child. So yeah, I will always look up to you as one of the greats, because you are one of the greats, and I do not apologize for that.
You're the kindest. I would, we could go back and forth and I'd argue that, but there are incredible photographers on the beach. There's also Chris Bickford is down there.
Dude, can I tell you my Bickford story? So David Allen Harvey's son was getting married.
Yep.
And Michelle messaged me and said, hey, I'm worried. And she said, David Allen Harvey's shooting it, but I'm worried he won't take any pictures of details that I care about. So will you come shoot pictures? So I show up with a camera and a 50. Freaking David Allen Harvey's there shooting. Chris Bickford's there shooting. Julie Dreeland's there. There's like 9 world-class photographers. And I'm like, oh, man, talk about insecurity overload, man. I was like, and they're like looking at me like, what the freak are you doing here? And I'm like, she wanted a picture of the cake. So it was like really funny, and it was raining. And then like I saw myself almost shooting like David's, just because he was there, and like I was worried that he was going to see the photos. Oh my gosh. But yeah, it was just like one of those moments, like it's probably 6 years ago, like whenever they got married, and I was just like, I remember like sending pictures to Moser, like terrified, like, look what I had to shoot with.
Oh, Michelle is one of my favorite people in the whole world. She's fantastic. And because of COVID, I really didn't end up seeing anyone because, we were just at the beach. But yeah, I adore her. And Daniel Pullum, he's there too. There's so many good photographers down there.
Yeah, it's interesting how like we all congregate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's cool. It's so fun. Like Daniel's been so fun to watch. Like he's just changed and grown a lot too. Like he's it's just, he's next level too. And it's fun to watch. It's fun to be old enough to be like, I remember Daniel when all he took was like that, picture. And now it's like this awesome storytelling, whether he's taking pictures of like the overwash or a commercial shoot for fishermen. Like his work inspires me too.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, so find these people that inspire you and learn from them, whether that's me or David or this beauty right here that can just teach you anything you want to know. Gear-wise, we have a lot of gear questions coming in. So how much gear do you take with you in a day?
Very minimal. Life? I'm a super minimal.
She's like, an iPhone.
I'm laughing because, well, that's interesting, you get an iPhone, but I'm laughing because Chantel Lowry, she's a former student of mine, beautiful photographer. I've hired her to do my day in the life before, or we've traded rather. And I remember when I showed up to her day in the life, I can't remember, I think it was before I mentored her, or maybe it was in the middle. It was in Miami. I show up, and so I travel with a think tank bag, like a roller. Mm-hmm. But I don't really need all that gear when I'm at a shoot. So I'm Sony. I switched to Sony. I was Nikon for 17 years. I did Fuji for 1 year. And the XT2 at the time, I loved it, but it was just too slow in the end. And low light, I kept getting waxy skin tones. And because of what I do, I really need something that can handle that low light a bit better. So I switched to Sony. So I have a Sony A9 and a Sony A7R3. Mm-hmm. I shoot with a 35 millimeter on my A9. I shoot with a 70 to 300 on my A7R3. I used to do a 70 to 200. I always had that in my bag, but I have a lot of personal projects, and one of the long-term projects is I've been working on a all-girls baseball league based in DC, and I needed the longer lens. So that's why, people are wondering why it's so long, it's because I had to upgrade to that for that coverage. I travel with a GoPro for anything in the water, and I started using a drone.
That's awesome.
And that's
Are you liking the drone?
I am, but I'm still learning how to actually use it, not to be, ooh, it's a drone photo, and to
Yeah.
really use it to elevate particular storytelling photos. So I'm still figuring that out.
It's really
I
hard not
will,
to look at the loud beehive as it flies at 8 feet.
yeah.
Bzzz, that. Yeah.
I was photographing a day in the life last year, and I went to a kid's Little League game, and I was like, all right, I'm going to pull out the drone. And in the middle of the game, you just see all the kids and the parents going like this. Shit. Like, I'm
Yeah.
so
It's so funny. Like when somebody that doesn't do weddings brings one to it, and then they start to film the reception or the ceremony, and it's just like you can see everybody in the picture just kind of look up and to the right, or like tracking it, like no longer paying attention to the wedding going on. They are quite loud.
Yeah.
I've been a drone guy for years just because I'm a tech nerd and I
Yeah.
love it. But yeah, man, that I have the Mavic Pro 2 and I love that thing.
That's what I have, the Mavic Pro
Man,
2.
that's the only drone I've ever had where like the camera quality was okay enough for me to like
Yeah, it's
call
pretty
it.
beautiful.
Yeah, I mean it says Hasselblad, and at first I thought that was a joke, but it's a pretty good little camera.
So that's my gear. But I didn't have the drone when I went to Chantal's, and I have done this more times than I can count. There's probably clients that would see this and be like, yep, that's true.
Hmm.
I try and travel so light because I have to travel for all my work. So I'll keep the bag in the hotel, or if I'm staying with them, like in my room, and then I just will grab a like grocery plastic bag to keep my stuff.
That's so awesome. That's the cover of your book.
Chantal's like, you get $6,500 for a shoot, and you just have
A
your
food
gear
line bag.
in a food line plastic bag.
That's
I'm like,
awesome.
I'm not fancy. It's not, it's not a matter of like being like showing off with what gear I have. Like I just
Yeah.
feel confident with the gear. I don't need to show off at all. So yeah, that's
Well,
what I use.
I once sat down with David Allen Harvey on a fireplace, and it was on my other podcast, and I was like, if you like a question we ask, if you had to leave your house with one camera and lens, and the man looks right at me and says, oh, I like my iPhone 4S, and then he goes and grabs a book, and he's like, that's what all this was shot with, and I was like, oh my gosh, man, my friend Ryan Moser says, a poor craftsman blames his tools.
Mhm.
And it couldn't be any more true. Like, you give somebody like you an iPhone, and it's going to be better than somebody with that Sony, even the AS that can shoot in pitch black. It's fun to watch the story come out because you're thinking through it. And again, not to go back to that, but real quick before we wrap up, tell us some places you've been, because what would be cool is if everybody, all hundreds of these people book you for shoots would be cool for me. Like, where have you been on some of your day in the life shoots? Like, what's like some of the adventure side?
I've been to Australia and New Zealand.
Step it up, guys.
I've been to Dubai for a shoot. I've been to Turks and Caicos for a shoot. I've been to oh my God, what is wrong with me? Why can I not? I want to say Sevilla, and it's not that. There's a little island in Spain that I went to and had 2 shoots, and I can't believe I'm flaking. It'll come to me in a minute. We'll pass that for now. I did a shoot in India, all throughout Canada.
Hey,
I had to be careful.
what did they say? I shot a little commercial for these guys I went ice fishing with, and they kept saying like like they did everything they said, like, oh yeah, you come here, and then like to where like when I went to cut the video, I was like, he just says after every line.
So this is real life. I have to open the door for my husband and my daughter. I'll be right back. Just give me a second.
Yeah,
Right.
that's real life. Well, thank you guys for putting up with all these technical difficulties. I apologize. It is all Rich Coleman's fault.
Okay, I'm back. Birdie, do
Hey,
you want to sit with me for a minute if you can be quiet?
Birdie, you
Birdie,
don't remember
come
me.
Okay, come on. Hi.
What's up? Look how big you are. See, I saw your husband's hat. I couldn't see his face because of where my screen's cut. Last time I saw him, I think he was running around with a little Fuji camera. Like, that was like the last time I actually saw him. That might have been like that minute you were Fuji.
Yeah.
'Cause he's a good photographer too.
He's fantastic. He's a street photographer. I've done shoots in France, like Paris, Italy, Rome, Italy, Yes, I'm supposed to go to. I have 3 shoots in Sweden coming up, but I don't know when I'll be able to get back to your. Okay.
This is a day in the life podcast.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I don't care at all. This is real life. So if I have one more question for you, it would be anybody thinking that they want to get into what you do or into this, like what's a good starting place or / like any like advice? Like if you could tell 24-year-old self like what advice would you give yourself?
Start building content and practicing. Photograph your own life if you have kids, your friends and their kids, any other family and kids. Just make a lot of photos and invite making a lot of bad pictures in order to get to a place where you can make good photos.
Be fearless.
Well, it's not even fearless, just like accept like the reality that in order to make good photos, you got to make a lot of really bad photos.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot, like hearing this, because I deal with these students quite a bit. It's like they'll self-doubt and they won't like a picture, and I'm like, dude, I don't like 80%. I don't like 80% of the pictures that I post, like that I think are my best work. So that insecurity you have is not strange. You're an artist, and when the artist is done painting something, they immediately find something they don't like in it. So that's normal, and I love what you just said. Like I love that.
Keep in mind, like, for an average shoot for me, a full day, it's anywhere between 4,000 and 7,000 pictures that I'm making. And I only deliver about 220. That's my average.
Nice. The cull game is strong. That's another good piece of advice. For the
You are
level,
as good as an editor you are.
cull the mess out of it. Stop delivering 9 million pictures, or we're just not going to be friends.
Yeah.
Like stop deliver. Like, man, some people like deliver like 600 beach portraits. I'm like, stop it. Give them 40. Like, give them 40 good pictures instead of 40 good pictures and 500 crappy pictures. Like,
and I use the word editor as a color, like that.
Oh yeah, culling. They know what culling is. Culling is the selection process.
But also, that term editing can also be the culling. That's so when I say, as good an editor you are, I'm actually saying as good of a color as you are. I just don't like that word culling. An editor would like you edit your set.
I think of vampires when I think of Edward Cullen.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I don't know why, but when I hear the word culling, I'm like, yeah. I think like the funny thing is before I knew what I was doing, I would just pretend like I knew what that word meant, and I'm like, yeah, I cull like a little yellow, a little warm, and I'm like, bro, I faked it. I'm still faking it right now. Everybody watching this right now, I am still faking it. I don't even know what a camera is, but we're happy to help. Well, Kirsten, I just want everybody to go to her Instagram, which is right there. Their link is right here. I'm pointing at it. Give her a follow, give her a like, and book her for some shoots, and just let her know how great she is. I'll send her a link to this, and I'll clean it up and take all of our awkward breaks out of it. And
I'm sorry.
I'm thankful. No, I'm thankful for you. Thank you so much for hopping on, and thank you so much for having patience with me today with technology and. Everybody, I know you need to watch these comments coming in because there's hundreds of comments that are here singing your praises. So
sweet. I'm so sad I couldn't catch up with you at the beach. We plan on coming back every year. We've tried to, and hopefully it won't be a COVID mess when we come back.
Yeah. Like me and David are supposed to go to like Norway. We had a bunch of trips that just haven't happened. So I get it right there. I got the travel bug bad, but I totally get it. Like my wife's like, wait, you're going to New Jersey for a wedding next weekend? And then I'm going to have to live in my office for 2 weeks. So perks of my wife loving me so much that she kicks me out for 2 weeks at a time. So I've got a really pretty doghouse, though. I mean, it's not bad.
Aww.
When you're as smart assy as me, it's good that you have a good place to go live when your wife's mad at you.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, awesome. If is there anywhere else they can look at you? Like, what's your .com?
KirstenLewisPhoto.com.
Perfect.
Yep. And I do have a book that hopefully will come out. My first book. It was supposed to be this year. COVID kind of messed that up. So hopefully by summer of next year, that'll also be exciting.
That's awesome. Let's do it. We're gonna do a giveaway just because I forgot to even talk about that. Let's give away a 5 terabyte hard drive to one lucky person today.
What?
That's great, Bethany.
Yeah. Let's Crystal or Kristen. Not Kirsten. See, I told you. Oh, I have a winner. I wonder if can I text it to you so you can say it?
Oh,
I'm gonna text you. I texted you via cell phone. The winner of a 5 terabyte hard drive.
holy moly. Okay. The winner is Christine Barry Parlin.
Christine, welcome. You can put a lot of a day in the life session pictures on a 5 terabyte hard drive.
You can. Yeah.
Awesome.
I can fit about 20 on there.
Wow, gosh, that's a lot of pictures. And do you keep your raws forever?
I do. Mm-hmm. I've come into situations where I've had a lot of clients pass away for several reasons, and then if I always have the raw, I can just give them everything because sometimes that's what they need to heal. So.
Oh yeah, that's cool too. Plus, I mean, if you're only delivering 200 and you shot 4,000, there's a big chance you have more pictures of
Yes.
said grandparent or said husband. So that's awesome of you.
For
I
sure.
keep them forever too. My contract says I keep them for 2 years, but I keep them. Like I've had clients that houses burned down, and I'm like,
Yeah.
here's the link, just download them again.
Yep.
So awesome. Well, you're great. I love you. Everybody else here loves you.
Aw.
We'll have to have you on again, maybe sometime
Yeah.
in person too. That'd be super fun. Or when your book comes out, we'll do like a whole
Fun.
podcast about your book, and then we'll give one of those away. I mean, I'll buy one from you to give
That would be
away.
amazing. All right.
We'll spend all of David's money.
Yeah. Sending lots of love. Thanks for having me on.
All right, see you guys. We
All right,
love you.
bye. Bye. Love